you're telling me about kind of just how to conduct yourself as a lady. Um, how did people, women around you, like your mother, your grandmother, or even just women that were close to you, teach you and your siblings these things, and how were what stories were kind of passed down about that to teach you these
Well, I think I personally felt like I was kind of a mother figure to so many of them.
To your siblings?
Huh?
To your siblings?
No, not to my siblings necessarily, but to children in the classroom. I can remember one occasion, these were high school girls who, this child came to school late. And I said, Hannah, why are you late? Oh, my boyfriend brought me to school today and he made me late. And I said, boyfriend? I said, listen, didn't you tell me that there's going to be in the hospital? She said, yes. I said, is she in the hospital now? Yes, she is something. I said, don't you come to school with that boyfriend anymore. You get up and on time and get on the bus and come to school like you always have because you're not usually late. She came to school every day on time thereafter. But I thought that was my responsibility because I remember she had shared with me that her mother was going in the hospital. And I thought this boyfriend was taking advantage of the situation. He knew her mother wasn't there. So she was late. And I just stepped to the plate and asserted myself. But as years went on, the child was misbehaving in class and something she was doing. And I said, oh, don't act like that. I said, I remember a child misbehaving at the end of the school year. She would run out the front. We had 2 doors in the classroom. She'd run out the front door. And the girls in the back of the room would open the back door. And she would hang out the back door. And then, after a while, she would come back in the classroom through the back door. Well, I was in the front of the room. And I said, during the summer, do you know she experienced a tragic death? And
She died?
This girl, somebody killed her out on the east side of Indianapolis. I think it was in a garage or something. Well, I felt sorry for her, although she had misbehaved. I just thought, oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
And so I had said to the student, I said, I really tried to persuade her to behave differently in the classroom. I said, well, she experienced a violent death. And so this child, I know who you're talking about. I never called the girl's name. And she went home and told her mother or grandmother that I had threatened her that something was going to happen to me. She called it witchcraft. And I said, what? I didn't know anything much about witchcraft myself. I knew it was wicked and ungodly, but I personally didn't have any experience with it. So her grandmother came to school. Oh, she was very heated. And I recognized her grandmother because she had been a student in high school with me. And I asked her, I said, I remember your, since if I knew your face, what is your name? She would tell me. Oh, that's the grandmother with me. And I think her name came to mind. And I said, what's your name? Ella Royal. She wouldn't answer. And that's what her name was. Well, I got my yearbook out and found her picture. And I said, my mother was there. But she didn't like it because I told her granddaughter, don't misbehave like that. You wouldn't want anything like that to be going on. But the grandmother took exception to it. I was struggling with my fear. And I think I gave thought to something I would say before somebody would say that I was threatening their child or something.
Yeah.
At one time, you could tell a child that. they would conduct themselves accordingly, and you wouldn't have any problem with them. I can remember we used to say, you can't leave a child outside the room, but I would take a child outside the room and talk to them and say, why are you talking like that? Why are you acting like that? I said, do you talk to your mother like that? Oh no, I don't talk to my mother like that. And I said, why are you talking to me like that? They would drop their heads. And I said, well, you go in there and you change your behavior. Now, if you act like that again, I'm going to call your mother and share it with your mother. And that would take care of it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have to send them to the dean or anything, and they would feel embarrassed. When I took them away from the support group of the classroom, and talked to them privately on Saturday, they felt ashamed. But if I had done it within the classroom, they would continue to put on the show.
Mm-hmm.
But you learn through the years, even in working with people. There's some people you can directly talk to, and some you have to do it in a subtle or indirect way.
Mm-hmm.
So I taught for quite a few years, and I guess I learned a lot of things and learned how to handle problems differently.
Yeah.
For many years of teaching. When I got to the place that I was not enjoying it, I was ready to retire.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, can you tell me maybe just share with us two or three memorable points or stories in Ella's family history?
I don't know. I think I would describe my mother as very gentle,
Mm-hmm.
and my father was very stern, and to the point which the thing I don't like about it is like we were almost afraid of him, feared him. And we had family members who had pleasant things to talk about with their father,
Mm-hmm.
And we would love to go over to their house, and we would say, Uncle Harvey would talk to the girls, and the daddy was busy working, and he was a disciplinarian, and he would come home and kind of withdraw to a bedroom or some quiet place, He felt like he had to go to space. But if he wasn't at home, we'd let our hair down, and laugh and talk with my mother. She'd be sitting around the dining room table sewing. We would do homework with her. I guess she made a balance in home.
Mm-hmm.
I think we had kind of a happy experience because my mother brought in that atmosphere. And we would get to go on picnics on holidays with family and friends and people from the church. And my dad never went with us. He worked that night shift, and in the day he had to sleep and get his rest and save. But he wouldn't, object to my mother taking us with her family friends. And annual picnics, 4th of July. Sometimes on May 30th, we would do things with other families or with relatives.
Mm-hmm. Are there any stories that you know of that have been kind of passed down through generations of Ellis women about women in the family or facts or significant events that happened or values or anything like that? And what story would you want me to pass on to my grandchildren?
My mother had no siblings. So she was always around lots of people because her father was a minister, And she said if they, at one house, if the bus stopped at the corner, which was a block away from their house, if smoke was not twirling from a pipe or something, they could say that person's coming to our house. Mm-hmm. And most of the time it was so. And so their house was always full of visitors. And but she was kind of, and I guess it was because she was an only child. Her father and she did things together, even things that maybe her mother wouldn't do. Mm-hmm. He would take her to, when she was going to school, she would go down to catch the bus that was in front of your house or about a block away from your house. And he would ride a bicycle behind the trolley all the way downtown. And then she had to transfer and get on, there was a streetcar from Capitol Avenue downtown. Then he would ride the bicycle behind the streetcar, and she had transferred to a trolley that went to West Hallville. It was called Hallville, but it was a very quiet community at that time, not the Hallville that is today. I can't believe I learned that in the years when my husband was in the nursing home. That nothing had changed, so I could not believe that. Because we used to ride a trolley out there. But her father was very protective, and he would take her to ride behind the bus. He didn't have to pay a fare. And then wait till she got off the bus and take her to the trolley to go to Hallville. And then he'd put her on the trolley, and she would ride the trolley all the way out to Hallville, get off at 10th and Pershing, because that's where her grandparents lived. And he would ride his bicycle back home. And sometimes go to visit the sick when he was out. He'd take us ride on his bicycle, and everybody remembers it living on there. And he was visiting the sick on the way back home. And that was my mother's life experience. Later, when we had a car party down as we grew up. Parson, my mother's friends, or somebody pick up our family and take her family. We'd go to the park or whatever, if it was a fair or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. We would do things together with other families. And that was a fun part of life. Yeah. I don't know. We just knew what was expected of us, and we tried to hew to the line, you know. Yeah. So I don't know whether that answers the question or not. You want to ask the question again? I'll see if I can think of other things.
Well, just if you knew of any other stories, like even beyond your mom or like you growing up, or just anything that was passed down through the family, particularly with women.
Well, I think we heard it more from my grandmother. Sometimes when we would go to Detroit and we'd go shopping with her, mm-hmm. and maybe she would be careful in the railway department or something, and we would be tired waiting on her, and we'd put our elbows up on the counter, and and she'd say, "Oh, get those elbows out. You didn't, they were ashy," and she said, "You're going to put your elbows up on something, you need to lotion them." She was very particular about things like that. And we would get tickled because we thought that was funny, and okay. But we loved going to visit her in Detroit. I guess she had money to do things that my parents really didn't have. We'd get to use her handkerchiefs and maybe put on some of her perfume and things like that. And we enjoyed that.
Well, you have given me a lot of